speak to Shahram Akbarzadeh, the Director of the Middle East Studies Forum and Non-Resident Senior Fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs. Shahram, thank you so much for your time. You need to help us read between the lines of the diplomacy, because Iran says that others are lying. Donald Trump says Iran wants to talk about a possible peace deal. Oman says a delegation from Tehran arrived in Muscat to talk about peace. And Iran is saying none of this is true.
Well, thanks for having me. It is a mystery. Look, it's very clear that Iran does not wish to have open confrontation with the United States. And I think they will do everything possible to avoid the conflict, short of complete surrender. I think this idea that President Trump has of Iran submitting unconditionally, surrendering, is fanciful. No state, no country has surrendered unconditionally unless it's been devastated, like Japan, for example. Only after the dropping of 2 nuclear bombs, Japan surrendered. So I'm not sure what the United States is trying to achieve here. Perhaps it is a matter of psychological war, exerting more psychological pressure on Iran to gain more concession, but it is counterproductive.
Has Benjamin Netanyahu played Donald Trump absolutely perfectly here?
Absolutely. I think President Trump has just accepted Netanyahu's message that Iran is seeking a bomb and that Netanyahu has to defend Israel. So that this narrative of self-defense has really taken hold in the United States, and he's just repeating it. So effectively, the United States has given up leadership and regional leadership, setting the agenda, and is simply following Netanyahu's line in the Middle East.
Shahram, what does it say to you when the US president says he doesn't care what his own director of national intelligence said in March, when Tulsi Gabbard gave testimony and said, no, the Iranians are not building a nuclear weapon? Has Trump basically seen the destruction being caused by Israeli missiles and thought now is the time that if I join, then this government in Iran will fall?
I think this tells us that President Trump lives in his own parallel universe, where facts are presented as fake news and lies are treated as truth. So even though there is intelligence by the International Atomic Energy Agency and his own intelligence administration that Iran is not building a nuclear bomb, he has accepted Netanyahu's version and treats it as fact and really expects the United States and the whole world to subscribe to a war of choice. And this is exactly what happened in the case of Iraq. He seems to have not learned any lesson from the American history and experience in the Middle East. The war in Iraq was supposed to address this fiction that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, WMDs. Well, they went in, they toppled Saddam Hussein, they inflicted so much anarchy and mayhem in Iraq, civil war, economic decline, crisis, and there were no WMDs in Iraq. And so sorry, now we're going to build you a democracy. So Trump lives in his own parallel universe, and unfortunately, he's in a position that will drag the rest of the world along with him into a crisis.
You mentioned civil war there, Shahram. If there were to be serious cracks appearing because of the level of attacks that Iran is facing, whether the US joins or not, if there is some kind of collapse of order, what are the possibilities of a civil war in Iran?
Well, that is a serious possibility. You have to, accept that even though that the regime in Iran is not very popular, there is a major disconnect between the people and the regime. There is a core that supports the regime and will fight to the end to defend it, to to support it, keep it in power. So if there is some kind of an attempt for regime change, those forces, those elements are not going to take it lying down. And then even within the opposition, there is the Iranian diaspora community. You have the monarchists who are based in the United States and think that they have a claim to power, even though the population, Iran went through a revolution in 1979 and deposed the monarchy. They still believe they have a right to power. They will want to come in. There we have other groups like the Mujahideen, who are based in France and elsewhere in Europe and Albania. They will want to come in. So there's going to be a free-for-all, basically, grab for power, and that's very dangerous.
Shahram Akbarzadeh, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.